And welcome to episode 4 of the Bold Business Breakdown. I'm your host, Rebecca Nordquist.
And I'm also your host, Sebastian Sanchez.
Today, we're going to talk a little bit about last episode with Jordan and also talk about entrepreneurship.
Yeah, so we've been talking a lot about finance. We wanted to switch the gears a bit into entrepreneurship. So we also found some tips for our fellow innovators out there.
Yeah, that's exciting. So
Yes.
you're going to want to definitely stay tuned for that. And remember to be bold and shape your future. So, as we all know, the holiday season is rolling around the corner here very, very soon.
Yes, that's right, Becca. And you know what that means? Spending, buying presents, eating a lot of food, and even more spending.
Yep. And, you know, the holidays are a very beautiful time shared with family and friends.
Oh, yes.
But sometimes we can definitely find ourselves stretched a little thin during this time of year.
Absolutely, Becca. And that's why New Senda Credit Union is offering a workshop called Breezing Through the Holidays.
In other words, New Senda has your back this holiday season to help guide you and answer all your questions on all things finance.
So join New Senda Credit Union in an online webinar on Thursday, November 7th from 11:30 a.m. until 12:30 p.m.
And if you're not able to make it to that first session, the second session is on Thursday, November 16th from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m.
Yes, so we will link the New Senda Credit Union website down below for more information on the workshop and how to register.
But for now, let's jump into our episode.
So Becca, last episode, what'd you think of it? Quick.
I thought it was great. I thought it was great.
Yes, it was super great. In case you guys missed it, we had Jordan Olivas on our last episode. And if you haven't already listened to that, we recommend going back and watching that before you come watch our essentially our reflection episode.
Yeah, no, he did a great job. And he came and spoke to the school as well. So if you missed that, we're really sorry. But that's why we wanted him here on the podcast because, you know, that way it kind of gives people a chance to hear from him still. And
get to know,
and
also for us, you know, we get to know him personally, you know, here in our studio. So it was really fun. I guess one thing that he really talked about that really spoke to me was kind of like he talked a lot about how people from New Mexico typically we strive to outdo ourselves, you know, because our state isn't the most technically advanced, you know. So I think it really spoke to me being him also being a native New Mexican as well as me, and you as well. It was really like eye-opening hearing the perspective of someone who's essentially made it, you know, into the business world, into the entrepreneurship. I mean, he's done a lot. So hearing his perspective on how being from New Mexico, he's had to like find his way around just to make it work, and that really kind of spoke to me, and probably spoke to our viewers as well, because people don't expect someone to come back down to New Mexico to talk about their experiences, but he literally was talking about how a lot of people who are from New Mexico who've done their careers outside, they want to come down and they want to help grow the students
the
and
industry,
the industry, the economy, you know. So it was really heartwarming and really eye-opening.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that he did a really good job at bringing that perspective, and I enjoyed hearing his challenges with that because I mean that goes off of your thing that you got from that is it's hard, especially from New Mexico, because it's such a small area and it's hard to kind of grow especially in the industry of business. You know, you want to go to a big city, you want to move away, you want to do all those things. And so to hear how he got out of that and how he navigated that was really cool. And his challenges that he faced through that was also interesting to hear. But what I really took away was hearing his perspective on when you asked about sales within the episode and what he thought about sales. And he said that there are people that definitely, you know, do it for the money. And there, you know, within every profession, there can be unethical people or sleazy people or and I think that marketing and sales can possibly get a bad rep, you know, because it kind of seems like you're manipulating them, but there's also a lot of really, you know, amazing products out there that need marketing and sales. So like to hear his take on that and his perspective that if you are to do something unethical and sleazy, it is going to come back and bite you.
Yes.
You know, even if it seems like it's the easy thing to do, he's had to turn down job opportunities. He's had to turn down sales opportunities because of, you know, the sleazy type of thing.
Yes.
And so
just to go off on that, he was talking about how amazing his own team is. You know, like he was talking about how people interpret ethics differently, but at the end of the day, you know, if you have a good team, you can definitely go a far way. Like he said, he loves his investors, he loves his co-founders, you know, his team in general. So I think it's also really important to just be able to go out there, find people who fit what you're trying to go for, and just reach for the stars, I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And definitely listen to your gut, you know. Yes. I think that if you have to sometimes turn down some opportunities because it doesn't like line up with your morals, it's sometimes what you got to do. And you know, he said that, you know, I could have made a lot of money from that deal. I could have benefited from that, but I decided that it wasn't, you know, for me. Yeah. And so I think that was interesting to hear, because I think that, you know, it's up to you, and yes, there's obviously manipulative people, there's sleazy, you know, but he said that he never really had a sleazy sale because he listened to himself and, you know, and tried to do the right thing, which is important, you know. So
from his perspective, it was very like kind of real, I guess you can consider. Like even in our talk from FinTech Lab, he was kind of giving the truth about having a startup, and it's not always rainbows and sunshine. It's like it's a lot of talking to people. It's a lot of being told no. You know, you're rejected a lot, and it's something you have to pick yourself up from. But it honestly makes you like a stronger person. Like anyone can tell you no, probably can tell him no, and he's like, okay, you'll find another way around it. Like that's just the thing about people like him, is they have that power. Because they've experienced hardships like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. The challenges were definitely a part of the episode that I took away, hearing like how he got through those challenges, because I think that oftentimes we hear the sunshine and rainbows, we hear the good, the good,
after, you know?
The thing that it was just this easy navigation, you know, and it's sometimes not, you know. A lot of the times it's a lot of grinding, it's a lot of working, it's a lot of, you know, making things.
And people don't understand. Like he was telling, people don't understand you often because they're not in that position. You can, as much as you express it, and they can talk to you, they can sympathize with you, but they can't really empathize with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't know what you're going through. Yeah, it's sometimes a lonely battle, especially within entrepreneurship, which is why we're what we wanted to shift gears to was some tips on that, because I think that sometimes
let's pick up the mood a bit, you know. We're talking about the hardships of entrepreneurship, but let's go into our tips, our tips that we found, and we could talk about them.
Yeah, because entrepreneurs are great. We need entrepreneurs. We know our society can't.
They're drivers, they're leaders, they're
creators, innovators. Yes. You know, all the things that we see, everything in this room was created by somebody. Yeah. And that took that drive, you know? And so I think that even though it might be a challenging and long, lonely road with, you know, a lot of working, it's also, you know, it's very empowering to be an entrepreneur and create things, because, you know, we know about some famous innovators, you know, Steve Jobs from Apple, even though you might not really agree with Apple or not, you know, he created Apple, which is insane, you know.
Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, they're all people who, you know, people have their opinions, but at the end of the day, they took that step forward, and now they're front of the line. We hear about them all the time, you know. Yeah, exactly. And whether we realize it or not, those people are prominent for sure. Those are the innovators, and I mean, going back to Jordan, he's a local, you know, he's a local innovator. You know, Kiss Pay and going along with the buy now, pay later.
Yeah.
So
he works with Klarna.
yes.
So all these things that we know, they're actually more in reach than we can see. We had a speaker who was the former CEO of Starbucks who worked with a lot of famous people who did startups and stuff.
Who wanted to work with Starbucks and at the time, and he also did other things as well.
Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely people that are definitely in reach. So hearing Jordan's perspective was really interesting, and hearing how he climbed the ladder and how he got to where he is today was really, really cool. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and our.
If you ever had that little tingle of starting your own business or had a business idea, here are some 3 tips on what to look out when being an entrepreneur. Yeah.
I think there's 5.
There's 5?
Yeah, I started with 3, but I think I got a little carried away.
Okay, and Becca brought in 2 more.
Yeah, I brought in 2 more. So
the more the better.
Yeah. You can't fit entrepreneurship into 3. I thought that I could fit it into 3, but
totally understand. Yeah.
I added a little spice.
Ooh,
a little
spice. Pumpkin spice.
Yeah, pumpkin spice. Cheers. But yeah, there's I had a little bit more just so that because we had 5 tips with the financial tips, and so I think that adding 5 to this one was really good too.
So for our local viewers, or I guess what I'm trying to say is one thing we have that we can start off talking about is Studio G. Yeah. So Studio G is from NMSU, but they have different sites ranging around New Mexico and other states as well. Studio G here for us is for entrepreneurs. Student entrepreneurs who have ideas and they want to get them kickstarted. The people at the Arrowhead Center, they do a great job at helping these people with their ideas, connecting them with advisors who know the back ends of the businesses. So Studio G is definitely a resource for our local viewers who are watching.
Yeah, and
listening.
Who are interested in the entrepreneur side. Because today, just to start with the disclaimer, again, this is information that you should do your own research on. It's for the purpose of this podcast. It's for entertainment and educational purposes. But that means that you should use them as insight, but also take your time to go do your own research and look into that yourself. But yes, that means if you need help seeking professional help.
Yeah, it's always good to ask for help. People don't ask for help enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're looking for that first step, please ask for help. It's not always a solo game. And
there's that, like with Studio G, there is that resource for you guys to do a workshop on entrepreneurship, go do some networking events, all those things, because
Aggie Shark Tank
that's the big one. Yeah. And if you miss that, that's exactly what these people were doing. They were thinking of an idea, and those people had to work their way through the
cohort program, and they worked their way up, and at the end they presented their ideas. I mean, it wasn't easy, there was a lot of hardships, going with the businesses, realizing if your idea was viable. But of course they worked with some of our advisors and
gained some mentorship.
They guided them. Yeah.
So that was awesome. But Studio G is a great place to start if you're on campus, and just seeking some resources on your own is always advised from us. Yes. But to get started, we're going to talk about our first tip, which is don't just think of an idea, think of a problem, and think of a solution to that problem.
So just going along with that, because when you're trying to figure out a problem, people like to think of like what the problem is, but you got to think about what it takes to get there. Yeah.
Like it's not just the problem. It's like, how can I solve this problem? So like the key in the lock, it's a lot easier to find a key. It's a lot harder to find a key for a lock than to find a lock and create a key for that lock.
Yes.
So it's a tongue twister, but
find the key
to the lock. Yeah. Find the problem and then find a solution to the problem. Yeah. Don't just like when you're brainstorming, don't just like think of ideas. There's a lot. I mean, yes, ideas are great. Obviously, we need the idea, but a lot of times it's just an idea. Yes. So trying to find a way to solve somebody's problem, like for me, for example, this is one that I use a lot, but I like to study on the couch because it's comfortable, but all my stuff is everywhere. All my pencils are everywhere, my cups are everywhere,
papers on the floor.
Papers on the floor. Yeah. But studying at a table, I have horrible back support. So, it's not very comfortable.
Back,
Yeah. It's not very comfortable sitting at the table, even if I have a really comfortable chair or whatever, it's still not as comfortable for me as sitting on the couch, but then all my stuff's everywhere. So if somebody could find a solution to that problem, that'd be
perhaps a neck pillow. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that's just an example, this is just,
it's always, if you have an idea, you gotta think, is it solving a problem, or is it just simply an idea?
Yeah. So like that one, if I were an entrepreneur, I'm gonna say like, okay, how can I solve this problem? Does everybody else have this problem? How can I solve it? So that's just the first step or the first tip.
And like she said, if you got to think about if other people are having the problem. So I guess this can lead us on to our second tip, which is do your market research. Please do your market research. Look online and see if what solution you have is something that people are willing to invest into or look into.
Yeah, I mean that takes. The research is broad.
Yes.
I think it's like a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Like when you start to do the research, you realize like, okay, like, is it a lot of people? Who is this person? Like what demographic do they fit in? Like all these types of things. And then like, for example, with the problem with the couch and studying on the couch, like who is that person that I would be reaching? Is it college students? Is it people that are going to be sitting at a desk, that work a 9 to 5? Like who is this person that I'm trying to reach so that they can be my target and I can profit from that?
Yeah. A lot of people, when they come up with problems, they think, oh, well, my problem is for everyone. My solution, my idea is for everyone. But you also that's when the market research comes down and you have to funnel it down into who your demographic is, because you can't really appeal to everyone. In reality, you really can't. Certain things are for certain people.
Definitely.
If you appeal to everyone, then it's the value isn't really there.
And I think that was one thing that I took away from the Aggie Shark Tank when we did that, was like listening to all their pitches. Everybody did a really great job. But I think that as you go through the process of being on Shark Tank, and even the real one, like you don't get weeded out to have to get to the point where you've already been interviewed by a few people. It's like you're taking your product to a front of just the sharks.
Yes.
And a lot of times you realize that, dang, I wish I would have included this or like thought about this or did my research on that so that I have the answer to that. And the only way you're going to get the answers is if you do the market research, because you want to know who you're targeting and how am I going to profit? Am I going to profit from this? Is it just like at the end of the day you'll realize like, is it just
are you
going
to put your time into it and then at the end it kind of doesn't work out, which is something a lot of entrepreneurs discover, and that's one of the hardships of being an entrepreneur.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's never going to turn out perfect. I mean, there's even when you have a profitable product, it still takes a lot of work from there. It doesn't end.
Nope.
But the way to combat that is to try and find the answers and do your research on that. And a lot of times when you do the research, you will get like revealed, is this just an idea,
And don't be scared if you have an idea. There's always resources, like for example, the FinTech Lab, we would host pitch competitions. And those are ideas where people have idea pitch competitions where people come up with their ideas, and it was a competition and people see if their idea is viable. Like even though we just said like, is your thing just an idea or is it something other people have? It's good to have ideas, and then you take them to these resources and you test them out and you do your market research, your early market research, and they're fun. They're especially for students. They're dipping their toes into the first realm of being an entrepreneur. Yeah.
And if you're trying to fill a class as a business student, another really good one is with Dr. B, or Dr. Erin Blogrand. She provides a personal sales class, and she provides the principles of marketing. Yes. And you're going to be required to take that.
Yeah, you'll be required to take that. And I guess to add on, there's also classes such as entrepreneurial mindset taught by various other professors, such as Rebecca Franklin. They do a really good job of kind of putting your mindset into being an entrepreneur.
And I think the one thing that I took away from when I had that class with Dr. B, she especially with the principles of marketing, if you take it with her, you're going to have to make something out of vinyl records at the end of the semester and try and sell that to somebody. Yeah. And
make it fun.
Yeah. And I think I realized, like, I took really big advantage of that project to like really learn as much as I could, because you're applying everything you're learning in marketing, you're applying that, because you have to think of, you know, who is my demographic? Who am I reaching? Like, how many people buy a vinyl record coat hanger? You know, like, that's what I made, was a coat hanger.
It's so niche. That's where looking into your market research is, going back to that. People, there's customers for that, you know. It's finding that certain niche for people to buy that.
So there's a lot of ways on campus that if you were interested in, you know, being an entrepreneur and you haven't like really got your idea off the ground, there's a lot of resources like what we've listed so far. Is if you're concerned or, you know, don't know where to begin, those are really, really good places to go. And these tips kind of fall in line with what we've gathered and what we've learned over the time. Yeah. So
I guess that's enough for our third tip.
Our second tip.
Our second tip, sorry.
So this is our third tip.
Onto our third tip. So our third tip is actually...
This one is make sure you do your research on the legal structure that you're looking for your business. So this one is...
business law.
Yeah, business. This one goes along with business law, but this one you need to definitely make sure you know what you want as far as your business, which is an LLC, sole proprietorship, franchise, corporation, because you're going to have to go and register your business through the city that you're going to be starting your business. So you want to know, like, what is an LLC, you know? So doing the research on those types of things, those are important, because either way, you're going to have to, if you're going to want to be an entrepreneur, you're going to have to register your business.
And these are things that investors look for as well. Like, for example, on Shark Tank, the show, they look for if people have already made it like a patent, if it's already like if the ownership is theirs, because it means that it's difficult to take away, you know what I mean? Definitely, like, for the copyright, the patent, they want to make sure that what you made is yours. Yeah. And if it's a good thing, if it's like what you created is viable, then they don't want no one else touching that, you know?
Yeah. And it's so important to make sure you go through like the legal structure, like the law of like, how can I get this to the market? Because somebody might already have your idea, and that's just, I mean, there's so many people out there that somebody might have thought of it. So definitely doing, like, it goes back to the second tip of doing your research on like who's your market and stuff, but also doing more research on like, okay, how am I going to get this off the ground? And making sure you do it the right way, registering your business, because no accounts will or should be opened up until you register your business. So, make sure, and you know, there's business law that's offered on campus,
business law, there's courses online.
It's definitely important to talk to somebody who knows what they're doing with law.
Talk to an attorney, a professional, or something who knows, you know, all about contracts and stuff like that. So, yeah. So going on to our fourth tip, this one's kind of essential, especially in today's age, is separating your business accounts from your personal accounts. So I guess going back to that, it's really important to separate, because at the end of the day, your business is an entity, as you are an entity yourself. If you combine the two, some of your likes might not really appeal with the likes of the business, and customers really want to go for a business who's positive, and if you're someone who's, I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's okay.
If you're someone who's who has, like, you know, differing opinions or something of the sort, and you combine that with your business, then it can get kind of controversial
and messy.
Yes.
Yeah, it's important to also do it for tax purposes, of course. You know, and it goes back to keeping it within the law. It's just keeping it professional at the end of the day, because if you don't separate your business from your personal accounts, when you go to file your taxes, it's going to be very, very difficult to file your taxes, because every single part of your business should be claimed under its own account. Like, everything should be accounted for under its own separate entity, because you know, there's going to be transactions that you're going to be making for the business that should not be within your personal stuff at all. So and I think that that's a tip that somebody who hasn't had the resources to go and start their own business might, just do this. And it could possibly be an easy mistake to make, but when you go to file your taxes, it really just keeps everything organized and easier to work with. And, especially as being an entrepreneur, you want to have a very clean and organized slate.
Make it
and
easier
plan.
For yourself. Being an entrepreneur is already difficult enough. Make separate accounts, so you could, like Becca said, so you could file your taxes separately and figure things out. Instead of having you have a combined a joint thing with your own personal account and.
It just makes it much more complicated. So it was definitely one that we wanted to include in here because, it's definitely something to do. You want to make sure that you separate all that stuff. Yeah.
And I'm sure there's resources out there that help you keep you on track, like customer relationship management programs, there's things like that.
Yeah. And again, like the Studio G, getting a certificate through them, they go through these types of things with you and make sure that, your business is certified. It's legal. It's all that kind of stuff. So, it's important to seek that mentorship from people that know, from other entrepreneurs. And that goes along with our tip number 5, which is to build your network.
Your network. Wow.
Yeah.
To know. Okay. Well, people might look at this tip and they're like, build your network, but you guys don't realize how important it is to get to know different people.
Absolutely.
Do you have a LinkedIn? If you don't, get a LinkedIn. Build, in the business, in the entrepreneurship, in the business world, it's important. It's kind of important to be able to move around, get to know different people, go to conferences, connect with people, because those are the ways you're able to reach out, grow your business, meet customers, potential customers, and through word of mouth or through different ways, you can get investors, you can get customers, you can build your network.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, building strong relationships in general, I mean, you don't want to burn any bridges. And so, learning how to build your network, because for me personally, before I entered like the business field, building my network was really scary. It's scary. It's actually really intimidating. And it seems like a, counterintuitive tip, like, building your network, whatever. I do that. I have friends, but it's like, it's not just like building, friends within your age group. It's talking to other people who know what they're talking about. And those people are intimidating to talk to at first.
Like-minded people,
at first, especially for like, if you're trying to become an entrepreneur, try and talk to other entrepreneurs that know, that have done this before. And
if someone scares you, if you're scared to talk to someone, talk to them, that's maybe that they're, you never know what they're able to provide. They're just being scared, and holding it to yourself is just an obstacle from reaching what you're really trying to gain,
Yeah. And, sometimes it seems like it's difficult to maybe connect with, a CEO of a company. It's an intimidating thing, because it's like, what do I talk about with the CEO? I'm just a college student, but it's important. Like when you want to go out into it's not even just in entrepreneurship, but just in the field of business in general, like going out there, meeting people that could potentially give you insight. People need people at the end of the day.
Yes,
and
people need people. The power of we.
Yeah, the power of we.
Yes, it's the credit union.
Yeah, it's so crucial, is the power of we, because
building a community, helping people out, helping out that hand. Because at the end of the day, we say build your network as in a business term, but at the end of the day, it's also kind of a life lesson. Be able to connect with different people, different cultures, different attitudes. Yeah. Build a community, lend a hand out, and you go far. Yeah. You go far. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of a weird thing to bring up, but for me, when I thought about building my network, or like getting out there and like meeting new people, like I don't know if anybody's watched The Land Before Time.
Oh my god, yes.
But like, it's an old classic movie, and Littlefoot is like talking to
so cute,
who's the little rhinoceros one?
I don't know. I don't remember. I remember Littlefoot's name.
Yeah, I remember Littlefoot, but she kind of has a hard time like relying on others, and like she wants to be all tough and like not really ask for help or get out there, and she the world's like ending, there's like this whole thing happening, and she's like, no, I want to be by myself, and then she gets cold and lonely, and then she realizes that like you know, I really wish I would have,
Yes.
you know, maintained that relationship with Littlefoot and all of his friends, you know, because people need people at the end of the day, you know. It's good to.
That's how, you know, that's how we grow. Essentially, is being able to connect with other people. Yeah.
But yeah, a LinkedIn, I'm really glad you brought that up, because a LinkedIn is a great way to start. Is just, you know, try and connect with people, because, you know, those people might seem far out of reach, but, you know, they're there on your phone. You can just connect with them, and they have maybe, you know, like they can look at your resume and be like, oh, wow, you know, I have a job for you.
And you could put your jobs there. You could put what you've been for students specifically. You're able to put what student organizations you've been in, what jobs you've had, and they look really good if you're, you know, graduating, going out into the workforce, and you know, it's scary. But I feel like once you have a LinkedIn, it's easy. That's kind of your that's your resume that you carry in your pocket. Yes, your social media resume, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, these are our 5 tips, and these are just things that along the way. I mean, we're not specifically entrepreneurs, we're marketing students, but just in the business field in general, you know, if like a lot of these things could possibly potentially help you, because if you're a marketer, you're going to be selling products, you know, you're going to be
selling yourself. You're selling yourself as a marketer.
And you're going to be working under somebody. You're going to be working under a company that was started by an entrepreneur. Yes. You know, all the products that they're bringing to the market and stuff, you're helping bring those through sales or
you can be the entrepreneur, you know.
Yeah. So these things are important, but also, again, they're just a baseline. Yes. So definitely still, again, do your research, talk to professionals. There are so many resources on campus. Reach out, build your network. I mean, even just if you don't even take the other resources and you start using your LinkedIn, there's a lot of people on there that, you know, are mentors that can help you. So
if you take one thing away from our 5 tips, please take away the LinkedIn. Use the LinkedIn, please.
Yeah, that's a great place to start.
So real quick, we're going to do a quick recap on the 5 tips for being an entrepreneur. The first tip is don't just think of an idea, think of a problem and a solution to that problem. Our second tip
is do your market research.
Yes. The third tip is to make sure you do research on the legal structures that you would like for your business. The fourth tip
is separating your business accounts from your personal accounts, which is very, very important.
Very important. And the 5th tip and the final tip, and the tip that I cannot stress enough, is to build your network. Get on that LinkedIn. Connect. Follow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Those are our 5 tips. But before we leave, don't leave yet just yet. We want to play a little game. You know, we like to have fun here. So
we unfortunately missed a game with our last guest, which was unfortunate.
Yeah.
We try to do it on every episode, but we were just so caught up in everything he was talking about.
We were interested in his ideas.
We lost track of that.
So yeah, but without further ado, let's get started on our game. We're just gonna spin the wheel and see what questions we get. We have a set of questions. So these are interesting, fun questions that have to do with entrepreneurship. So spin the wheel.
Number 3.
Okay. Number 3. What's number 3?
Number 3 is, what are ways companies can market themselves to people?
Okay. The one I would instantly go to is, of course, social media. You know, going on them social platforms and really creating your brand identity through that. You know, are you a brand that likes to poke fun at what they do, or you're a brand that captures community and is all about, you know, going to social media is really good for that, because that's where all the people are, you know, especially nowadays. And
if you're like too against social media and you don't like maybe Instagram or TikTok and you don't really want to get on those platforms, LinkedIn's a great place to start, because it's a business platform. And you're able to connect with individuals, which we already talked about LinkedIn, but that's if people maybe don't want to be on Instagram or all those other social media platforms. LinkedIn's a great place to start.
LinkedIn has, if you're just focusing business strictly, more professional connections, LinkedIn is the way to go. That's where you are going to keep up with people in the you know, in your community of business people you connect with. But like I said, just things like TikTok or Instagram are good to just reach out and create kind of a how would I say, like, I guess a character for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying you can't do that on LinkedIn, but
Yeah.
typically you typically have more fun on TikTok.
Yeah, you can have a lot more fun on the other ones
Yeah.
because it's just going to be strictly business related for LinkedIn. But I just recommend that if you don't really want to be on the other platforms, if that's like something that you're not really into, LinkedIn's a good way to kind of still get your name out there, still connect with other professionals, and you can put your resume on there, you can put other things. So but social media in general, just the broad, you got to get your name out there.
It's here and it's here to stay. You know?
Yeah. And you can always connect with people individually, but like getting your name out to the masses it's just a tool that we haven't had except for the last 10, 15 years, so it is growing. It's getting bigger. So
it's only getting bigger. There's always new platforms for companies to look into. But
and another thing too, I think is a good place to start too, if you're wanting to just do the marketing itself, is Canva is a good tool, a good resource
Canva.
It's an easy to use one. You don't really need to get a certification as you do for like other ones. It's just kind of for personal use. They have presentations, they have flyers, they have business cards, they have resume templates.
Templates.
They have templates for literally everything. So and it all looks super classy, super nice. And the one thing too is nowadays our attention spans are so much lower than they used to be. So you want to capture somebody's attention within like literally 30 seconds. If they're going to pick it up and they're going to look at it. A resume used to be this long, thick paper, where you have super extensive amounts of information on you. Yeah. And nowadays it's like, that's not going to fly. If you give that, they're just going to be like, next person.
Yeah, you really got to pick what catches the eye really quick.
You want to advertise anything and everything nowadays within a few words. Like simplify everything so that it really captures the attention. That is one really big thing that I had to learn is keeping it simple, because I feel like I used to over explain a lot, and nowadays you can't really do that as much anymore.
I feel that. I think especially with Canva, things have helped that. For example, if you're trying to market something, you can easily you have to think about what's the quickest way and what's the shortest and best way to describe what you're trying to get out there. And that's things like making flyers and just being vocabulary at the end of the day is important. So
trying to capture that attention in 30 seconds
on Canva. It's easy to use. It's free. There's a premium, but that's free. So
but really, you can find a lot still with the free version. It's great. But so let's get on to our next one.
So our next question is, let me spin the wheel again. Hopefully it's an exciting question, a good question. Number
10.
Number 10.
So this one is how can students take their first steps into entrepreneurship?
How can students take, the one I would say
is today's episode. You could start there.
Today's episode, yes. Take notes on today's episode. It'll be on the exam. I'm kidding. But no, use your school resources. I think that's something people our age don't really take advantage of. Is just going out there and seeing what resources there are, like the libraries, or I guess in entrepreneurial in a way, is what business accelerator programs are there. Here at NMSU we have Studio G, we have FinTech Lab, we have the Arrowhead Center itself, which is all about business accelerator, helping people bring their businesses up, and also just asking questions.
And even if the marketing side's also important. There's other clubs and everything, but every aspect of business is good to know. So if there's FSA for financial, if you're trying to get to know more of the financial side, so there's the AMA for marketing, there's business
for human resources.
There's ambassadors for College of Business. There's all kinds of clubs and organizations to get involved in, where you don't have to necessarily be a part of a certain thing. There's a broad range of some students in there.
And the best part is you go in those with people of the same interests, so within the same community. You go into AMA for marketing, and you're gonna meet like-minded marketing students, or the FSA for finance, and you meet finance students. So.
But like you're an FSA and you're a marketing student,
Yeah,
so
you know,
there's like ways to kind of still get involved in those areas and not necessarily be a
just
part
because
of
you're one doesn't mean you can't be the other. You know.
Yeah. So there's ways to get involved, and especially to just I mean, going to college for business helps a lot because you learn all of those things. You have required courses for marketing, you have to take principles of marketing, you have to take business law, you have to take accounting. Like you have to take those courses to learn them.
Yeah. But
it's a resource in itself, and if you don't really care, you're not going to really absorb it. So school is just one resource, and there's certificates out there. There's which you can get certified in certain areas through Studio G, which is one of them. So if you're trying to find a certification. And
just like how Jordan mentioned, like there's, even if you're not in school, there's so much resources online. Like people can go on there, learn these resources, learn a skill that they might not otherwise be able to learn, and they can use it to their advantage. You know, they can charge for it. If you learn how to make a website, you can charge a business you can make a website, and you just got, you just use your skill and you got paid. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one way of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's along with the last episode and this episode, hearing somebody who did it for themselves, you can hear the whole, what it's like to be an entrepreneur, like one person's opinion on what it's like to be an entrepreneur. And then today our little tips of if that's what you want to do. Yes. But yeah, of course, there's a broad range of resources and just things that you can do to get out there and do this. So
I guess that concludes our episode. Don't forget to follow us on our Instagram, on our LinkedIn, on our Spotify, and our YouTube. We have all those. I'll put those in the description down below. Don't forget to be bold and shape your future.
Oh hey, fancy seeing you here. Hope you make it to our next episode.